Welcome to the Bridging Broken to Breakthrough podcast. I am your host, Maria Wingard. I share how hope will arise out of our past broken relationships, fractured families, and personal struggles. Come walk a mile with me as we allow Jesus to clean out the mess and organize the rest. Today's episode is titled, Expectations and How to Adjust Them. I'm so thankful for my relationship with Jesus Christ because I see how hard relationships are without Him. Frankly, even with Jesus involved, there's still so much division and strife. Most people don't take Galatians chapter 5 very seriously, where we are directed to avoid strife and division. People often make many decisions based on fear inside of their relationships, even when these are often baseless, unsubstantiated fears. Many also attempt to override the other person's free will. Now, if God honors our free will, then one of the greatest gifts that we can give someone else is to honor their free will, even if that means we are excluded from their life. The Lord truly is our model here. He loves and honors us, and He honors our decision to either be with Him or without Him for all eternity without forcing us to choose. If the God of the universe does not force people to choose Him, but relies on free will, then we should consider this the best practice approach towards all of our relationships as well. If they do not choose you, then let them go. By building up false expectations in our heads and writing a false story in our mind's eye based on a half-truth, we then oftentimes fail to communicate in order to clear up these half-truths, mostly out of a fear of the unknown reaction we may receive. Lamenting for hours, days, or even years over a perception, the direction a conversation might take us. This generates false expectations. Expectations of how another person is going to react in a given situation without even giving them the opportunity. Expectations built in the mind become Satan's playground. Then our heart is broken by another person's actions. However, people don't actually break our hearts. They break our unrealistic expectations of them, which will cause us to hurt, because I would never do that, yet we all do. It is time to release people from our expectations and forgive, even if the expectation is simply for them to function honorably and truthfully. Just because that is how we would function does not mean the world, in general, subscribes to our viewpoint. Just like it is unrealistic to expect a terrorist to want to do the right thing by not killing or murdering without first having a heart change, it is just as unrealistic to expect people in our life to treat us how we would treat them without first having a similar heart change. They need an encounter with God. A change of heart comes by first wanting to see things from someone else's perspective. And until we can do that, a heart change will never happen. Everyone has a slightly different viewpoint of honor and truth and who deserves it in our lives. Sometimes we just need to have God's grace upon us so we can give it to others who do not deserve it as well. This does not mean we shy away from confrontational conversations, because truthful conversation eliminates false, unrealistic expectations. By confronting our false expectations in a truthful conversation with the individual, it will help us to realize the other person's expectations, limitations, and abilities inside that situation. This establishes proper understanding of boundaries so we can then find grace to forgive and to try to bring healing to the relationship instead of just piling on more pain. Oftentimes, this is just realizing the other person's perspective needs a God intervention. While waiting on this intervention from God to happen, you may just have to guard your heart for a while in that relationship before trust can be extended again in order to attempt to facilitate restoration with the individual. Trust is earned. Love is given. It is possible to love someone without trusting them. Consider examining your expectations so that you can love people where they are, not where you want them to be. This may mean having hard conversations with others in your life or with yourself. Ask God to help you with the hurts you've received and ask Him to bring healing in those areas. Ask Him to show you where you need a shift in perspective. I am grateful that you have decided to come walk a mile with me, your host, Maria Wingard, on the Bridging Broken to Breakthrough podcast. To find out how Jesus bridges broken to breakthrough and to listen to past episodes, please visit hopewillarise.com. And thanks for listening today.